In this video, we're starting the Old Dave project. And Old Dave, well, he's a 1990 $1,500 K2500 pickup truck. Can we turn this $1,500 truck into a daily, reliable vehicle? What problems does he have? Well, in this video, we're going to be going over most of the problems and trying to fix this one where the doors don't actually close. Will we be able to do this project without major problems? Do we have the right parts, right tooling, and know-how? Or are we going to lose our mind in the process? Hey guys, Josh with Depth Channel, and today we're going to be doing a project that's a little different than what I've done before. Now, of course, normally I work on cat diesel engines, and they're not mine. What I'm going to be doing here is actually working on a project that I own. It's not a diesel, it's not a cat even. It's an old Chevy pickup truck named Old Dave, and my daughter gave it that name, and it's sitting right behind us right here. So there she is, or he is, I guess I should say, Old Dave. And not sure why my daughter named him that, but I think it sticks. So what is this? It's a 1990 Chevy pickup truck. It's a K2500, and it's something a little different. Like I said, it's not a diesel engine. It's got a Chevy small block in it. I'll show you the engine. One thing that is kind of interesting is it's a 6-lug, but it's a 2500. Apparently on the Scottsdales, which is this guy. Yeah, this isn't some normal rig. This is a Scottsdale, folks. They had 6-lug. And here's our engine. Hood actually opens if you whack it. Pretty clean. I picked this truck up for $1,500, which if you're saying, what the heck kind of truck would be $1,500? Well, this one would be. That's why I bought it, because it was so inexpensive. Small block Chevy has the throttle body injection on it still. Front brakes, or disc. It's 4-wheel drive, which in general, I'm not a big fan of 4-wheel drive, folks, but you know what? We have what we call winter up here in Idaho. So 4-wheel drive actually helps quite a bit. Leaks a little bit of oil. Battery could probably get replaced. Got an A7, so assuming that's January 2017. We are now in September of 2023, so probably going to change out in winter. So what have I had to do to it since buying it? Not a whole lot. I put a starter in it because when I went to register it, the starter wouldn't start after I registered it, so it's got a new starter, not a reman. But other than that, it's in pretty okay shape for the year and for how much I paid for it. But of course, there are a few things wrong with it. First thing was the front driver's side tire was leaking air. I believe it had new tires, but the rim looked like it was leaking between the bead and the rim. Now, if you're a real Chevy fan, you'll notice these are later rims. These are aluminum rims off of 2003, but they fit, and the offset's pretty similar. I do need to change the front hubs because they squeak a little bit. This is kind of annoying. The doors on these don't really close. The passenger side is way worse. And what happens is, if you see here, this is actually broken, this pin. This pin's broken. So we're going to be changing that. The interior is actually in good condition. Car seats everywhere. Got lots of kids, so we needed to seat 6. The interior is actually in okay shape. Like I said, the headliner's not in the best of shape. The light actually turns on still here if you open the passenger side door. Surprisingly, it's got the rear split window. Exhaust, but here's something I found out after buying it. The exhaust is not actually connected. So it's got a cherry bomb that's got like a 6-inch gap in it. So I'm gonna have to fix that. Fairly minor, but just one of the many quirks about this guy. Now, the body's not in the best of condition. Very little rust as far as behind the rear quarter panels here, but you can see it's been hit here. The roof has some rust on it, but Overall in decent shape. Bed has some minor rust, no holes or anything. But here's our biggest problem. Well, not our biggest, but that guy's cracked. Here's what I would like to fix today. This is closed. The pin on this side is gone. These pins seem to be okay. I got a kit, and I've never done this before, but I think we're going to try and replace that pin and see if that will help our door closing situation, because my wife and daughter hate it when they're sitting here and this door will not close. This seems to be in okay shape, although a little worn. So what are problems with it? It leaks a little bit. The odometer actually doesn't work. The doors don't fully close. The AC doesn't work, which I don't actually care about. Needs the exhaust fixed, front wheel bearings. That's pretty much it for now. Does smoke a little bit though at startup. So this is our door spring and hinge kit that we got here, and it was on Amazon. Some random brand. It had the best reviews. If you guys know of a good place to get decent older Chevy parts like this instead of going to actual Chevrolet, because obviously they have a door pin problem here, let me know in the comment section, please. But basically this is what we're trying to replace. Now I'd like to replace it without removing the door, because the other door pins are actually in good shape. But this one, which is actually what controls your stopping, and it kind of helps align the door also when it's stopped, is the one that's missing. It must have broke off, and it's just no one ever replaced it. Now I'm going to be using this soft-faced hammer here because I don't want to damage the pin, and hopefully we can drive it in place without removing the door. Seen several reviews though saying a lot of people have problems doing these door pins. I watched a video on how to do the door pins and some helpful tips in there. And there's also apparently a spring supposed to be in this door mechanism somewhere, which I was not sure actually where it went until I watched the tutorial. And it actually goes not where I thought it went, but we'll go over that later. So what we're trying to do here is just hold it, and this is a tight area because you got your hand wedged here, and just try to drive that pin up, and then it actually has a retaining E-clip. As you can see, we're not really doing much, folks. It's not moving at all. So either the pin is the wrong size or the bracket's bent, something like that, and we're not able to drive it up there, and unfortunately you can't really see very much with the door in the way. Now the video I watched says you should remove the door, you should remove and replace the bushings and the other pins all at once, but like I said, I'm trying not to do that because that really complicates this. If I could just drive it in there, I would not have to do that. Now, as you can see, though, it's not even getting started. Really frustrating here, folks. I really didn't want this to be a huge project, but looks like it's not going in. So being a stubborn mechanic, I was like, well, let's try a C-clip. Maybe we can press it in with a C-clip. And did that work? Of course not. So I got a secret weapon here, folks, and it's diesel powered, believe it or not. This is actually the first diesel powered vehicle I've ever owned, and it's a little Kubota tractor. Saying, well, what are you gonna just ram the door with the tractor? Well, no, like I said, I've got a secret weapon. I'm gonna have to pull the door, unfortunately. And by pulling the door, there's a couple ways you could do it. If you had a cherry picker, which I used to have actually in Vegas before we moved up to Idaho, and I don't have one anymore. Would like to get one again, probably will, but what I got now, best I can do, is with my little tractor, I've got this, which is called a boom pole, and you know, this is a little tiny diesel tractor. It will lift that door no problem. So it's basically like having like a little crane off your 3-point here, and this, I think I paid 250 bucks, something like that for this. And yeah, I'll use it as a 3-point, and you can raise and lower it. I've picked up really big rocks, stuff like that. And we're gonna hold the door up that way. So the video said to use a jack with some wood, but obviously, folks, that could fall right off. If you're lifting it from above, though, it can't fall off, assuming you have it rigged correctly. So that's what we got. And we've got this door pin here, the upper door pin. And I noticed, I was like, okay, we'll just drive these door pins out. They don't look very difficult. It doesn't have the retaining E-clip or sleeve on it. It looks like someone has brazed, welded, or JB welded the top pin there in place. So that's really sweet. So it appears to be that that upper bracket for the pin is welded on. So basically it's going to be impossible for us to remove that pin unless I have to replace the pin bracket, which I don't want to do. This complicates things. See, this is why idiots shouldn't own vehicles. You see, the problem with old cars is not that they're old. It's that idiots own them. And idiots don't fix stuff when it breaks. If this would have been fixed probably originally when that pin would have broken, probably wouldn't have broke off the bracket before, which wouldn't have broke off, and then some idiot welded on there. Unfortunately, much like the wheel bearing squeaking or the air leaking out of the wheel, or all the other little things like the exhaust, when you let them accumulate, when you go to fix it, it's much more complicated. And that's really why older vehicles always fall apart, is people don't fix the little things as they break. And one other thing is on here, similar, is the wiper blades. You can turn them on, and they'll turn off. It's just a switch. Replace the switch. So we're going to have to figure out a way to get this pin in without removing the door now. So it looks like we were able to break the weld that was holding that on there. It might have just been brazed, actually. I'm just gonna, as you can see, I've driven it out most of the way that's retaining it. So we've got our tractor holding it on with these ratchet straps. Well, for safety effects here, folks, using ratchet straps to lift the door. Let's do that. It's going well. Yeah, we're actually able to drive it out of there. Somewhat. Now we'll pull it out, knock the other one out. Let's see what happens. So no little project is easy, folks. So yeah, what I was doing here is just using these two ratchet straps. And these doors are not particularly heavy, especially these with the crank windows. There's no window motor. This doesn't have electric locks or anything. It's pretty simple. I could lift this door, but of course trying to hold it somehow and hit the pins out is pretty much impossible. So this is pretty much the best option I had, and it actually worked pretty good. So I have the upper pin off. Then all I have to do is drive the lower pin fully out, and that's the two pins are all that holds the door to the body, which is kind of crazy. Once they're out, and one good thing about using ratchet straps, not like a lifting strap, is you can actually tighten or loosen them to get them kind of in position where you want them to be. And I've got choker holds on them, so should hold the door just fine. Feel sorry for all those people who don't have a sweet little tractor. That little Kubota there is a story all its own. Maybe I'll make some videos on that. But let's get back to our door pin project here. So using the powers of levitation to hold our door up, we have the door up. And yeah, it looks like, can't tell if they welded that or just brazed it to hold the pin in. Not sure, but yeah. Anyway, here's our bushings. Still rotate. That one does at least. Oh, these don't have. Oh yeah, they're on this side. Idiot. I don't do these. This is not my typical type of project, folk, but we have the new bushing, so that's good. So now we have a lot better access to drive this pin in, which is somewhere here. There it is. Our pin. We can actually hit it now. Maybe see why the heck it's not seating in there. But we can get it now. See, my hands are clean, folks. I do wear gloves when I'm actually working. These are old pins. They're pretty worn. Not sure if they're original, but it's good. The whole kit, I think, was $20. Let me get the box. By the way, this, folks, is my home toolbox. It's a little bit less fantastic than what I got at work. I do have trimmer line, but got pretty much most of the sockets I'll need. 1/2-inch torque wrench, 1/2-inch drive stuff, 3/8, 1/4 inch. It's not as organized as I'd like it to be. Pliers. There's just a bunch of junk, but basically that's what I got. So folks, even with the door removed, not going in there, and I have hit it, we'll say firmly with, I was using my soft face hammer because I don't want to mar it, but we'll just say Mr. Ballpeen was involved also, and enough to slightly mar the end of the pin there, but it's not seating. It just will not go in, and I'm not sure why, but it's very irritating. So it would seem reversed. It starts that way, but it just doesn't go the other way, so I might have to get a file and kind of file off this bottom section so that it's tapered up, so I can start this pin, because this ridged area, while it does seat into there, there's a retaining pin here that's supposed to keep it from falling out. So let's do a little work. So as you can see, I've filed a lot of the grip section down here, kind of give it a tape or two. Filed the actual bore a little bit, but I don't want to mess with that too much. These pins are relatively inexpensive, whereas that door bracket probably is not. So see if it goes in. It's also starting to rain, and our door is slowly going down. Apparently the hydraulic ram of the tractor is leaking a little bit. So let's get this pin in. So we're able to get that pin in with the assistance of my mini helper there and his mismatched blue Crocs. Luckily, he was there to really hammer this sucker on there. And I've been using a little bit of this Phil's grease. It's actually a bicycle bearing grease to wherever it's metal-to-metal contact on here. And here's one trick that I read in the comments actually on the video was don't hammer these bushings in, but actually use a bolt and a nut to seat them. And then we can put our door back on once all the bushings are in and the new pins are ready to go in. So I had pulled the tractor away, I pulled it back, and all we're going to be doing here is setting the door back in place. And like I said, there's nothing you're bolting on here actually, it's just the pins. And one goes up, one goes down, and they're both in now, not fully seated, but got it there. Now I bought this tool because I knew it came with a spring, but didn't know where it went. And apparently it's extremely difficult to install the spring without the proper tool here. And it actually goes here. I thought it went somewhere around one of the pins, but no, it actually goes between the body and the frame. And this tool compresses that spring so you can actually install it. And let me tell you folks, even with the proper tool, it was extremely difficult. The tool was basically fully seated, and that sucker puts a lot of pressure. I'm surprised that thinner tool actually held up, but it compressed that spring, and that spring's like a heavy valve spring. It's very, very high tension. You can't compress it with your hands. But once it's in place, all you have to do is then use this ratchet, or you could use a socket, I guess, instead of a wrench, but you loosen it and tighten it, and then all it does is it expands back out, and you've got your door fully assembled here. So is it gonna work? Sure hope so. Looks good to me, folks. So what do you guys think of old Dave? Do you think I should stay fixing this? Keep doing videos on it? Where should I be buying parts? Should I fix the front hubs next? Maybe the wiper? Maybe something else? If you guys want to let me know in the comments, I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching.